Hello, and welcome to today's chapter on fundamentals of algebra. For this chapter, we will start off by doing expansion, right? And just a little bit on algebra, okay? Algebra is one of the biggest, if not the biggest topic in secondary school math. A lot of other topics are derived from algebra. So a good grasp of algebra will really help you to approach the other chapters like trigonometry or mensuration or any other chapters. Now, algebra is also one of the biggest stumbling blocks of students because a lot of them feel like they don't understand the operations of algebra. So my job today is to help you understand that algebra is no different from any other mathematical objects. Okay, basically, algebra is doing arithmetic with non-numerical mathematical objects. So what that means is that instead of using like numbers, we use alphabets or letters. Now, why do we do that? Because we don't know what these objects are. Okay, if we don't know how much money you have, right, we let your money be X. We don't know how much money your mom has, no, we let her money be Y. We do know that in some sort of relationship that your money is the same as your mom's money, so X equals to Y. And then if we have other conditions, we can go about to solve the equation. Okay, so algebra allows us to work on these objects without knowing what they are yet. Eventually, when we work out what these objects are, we can find the answers. But the laws of arithmetic or mathematics still applies regardless of numbers or algebra. Same way as multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, or square roots or powers, these laws still apply. Just because they are alphabets doesn't mean that the laws no longer apply. And I'm going to show you in the following slides, right, all the different kinds of variants, right? So we're going to start with expansion first, and I've got about 16 examples to show you all the different kinds of permutations that you need to do, you will encounter when you meet algebra, and then we go on to like factorization, all the different kinds of factorization, before we go and tackle the really tough ones. Okay, so bear with me. I'm sure at the end of this video or this series of videos, you will be able to understand algebra a lot better. Well, these videos are to aid your learning in a manner that's convenient for you. You can watch these short videos at your own leisure, at your own time, at your own pace. Now, after watching these videos, if you think that you still do not understand algebra, you can arrange to have like group consultation sessions or one-to-one consultation sessions. But I believe for the majority of you, after this whole series of videos, including other chapters, you should be good enough to manage mathematics on your own. And that will save you a lot of money in tuition fees, and which is the intention of this video. Now, let's look at expansion. What exactly is expansion? Now, expansion is the removal of brackets, and it works just like multiplication. Okay, so it's multiplying stuff that's inside the bracket to each other, right? One thing you should always remember when you do expansion, and this should be doctrine, this should be law. This is something that you should be able to mutter in your sleep. Your sequence of expansion should always be sign, number, alphabet. Sign, number, alphabet. Okay? Sign, number, alphabet. Drill that into your head. Deal with the sign first, then deal with the number, and deal with the alphabet. Okay? And there's going to be 16 different kinds that we're going to do. What happens when you have one term times one term times two terms times two terms, etc., etc. Before we go on to like nested expansions, which are brackets within brackets. And then special products, what I call twins and triplets and enemies and combinations of special products with nested expressions, and finally, like, give me what you've got. The most difficult one you can give me, right? And everything is done systematically, sign, number, alphabet, sign, number, alphabet. Now, how do you distinguish between one term or two terms or three terms? We distinguish that with the presence of addition or subtraction. Every time something is separated by a plus or a minus, we treat that as each separated piece as a term. So for example, 4p squared r, right, is one term, because actually you multiply everything together, it will just be one number, if you know what each of the alphabets are. But 2x minus y is two terms because it's separated by minus. Okay? 3x plus 2y plus 4, it's three terms because they're separated by the pluses. Okay? So we determine one terms or two terms or three terms by the presence of plus and minus, addition and subtraction. Not for divide and not for times. Okay? So bear with me, we will go and deal with this one at a time. For those of you who find the earlier parts too simple, you can always skip on to the later parts, which are more challenging. Okay, so let's deal with the first variant. It's one term by one term. Why it's one term? Because there's no plus or minus, right? So there's one term on the left bracket and one term on the right bracket. Now remember, the sequence is always sign, number, alphabet, sign, number, alphabet. So the first sign, we do the sign. Nothing before 4 and nothing before 6 means it's a plus. We don't put any signs if it's the first number and it's positive. So sign is done. Now we look at the number. We have 4 here and 6. The result is 24. Then we have q square here and a q here. The result will be q to the power 3. And then there's r cubed here and 1r here. So we get r to the power 4. And then finally, just a single s. Yep, that's it. So what happens when we have two terms in the right bracket? Okay, we will do something here, what we call the rainbow method. It's the same thing that the Ministry of Education teaches. Right, so you expand the term outside into the first. Right, so in this sequence, deal with it by the same law, sign, number, alphabet. So sign here is still plus, so we don't write. The number is 8, because 4 times 2. And the alphabet is p times p, p squared. Then we move on to the next. Okay, so we do the sign, plus times minus will be minus. Number, 4 times 7 is 28. And just a single p. And there we have it. Okay, so now we do with two terms and two terms. Okay, so we take the rainbow method. The first one comes in here. Sign is still plus, number is 6, alphabet is x squared. And then we bring this in here. Sign is minus, because plus times minus is minus. 3 times 11 will be 33. And then just a single x. Okay, and then we deal with the second term on the left with the first term of the right, and then the second term on the right. So sign here is minus, number is 2, and then the alphabet is yx. But deal with it in alphabetical order. X comes before y. And then finally, second on the right versus second on the left. So you have minus times minus, the letter, the alphabet, the sign, which will give you plus. Then the number is 11, and then the alphabet is y. Okay. And then before we end here, we must make sure that there are no like terms. If there are like terms, we need to combine them. So for example, if there are x's, like 2x plus 5x plus 7x, you need to add them all together. But in this sequence, there's only x squared and xy and y. They are all unlike terms. So this will be the end. Now we're going to up the ante a little bit here by dealing with fractions. Now, just because there are fractions here doesn't mean that is difficult to do. You just can use your calculator and deal with it. Okay, we're also going to do with the rainbow method as well, though I don't really like to use the rainbow method with 3 terms on the right or 3 terms on the left, because there are too many of these rainbows to draw and it can get confusing. Okay, but for illustration purposes, I will still show you. So first we deal with the first one on the left with the first one on the right. Now, plus, the sign is plus, so we don't have to write. And the Number is 8 over 15 times 5. Key this into your calculator. You'll get 2 and 2/3. Then we deal with the second rainbow. So the sign here, plus times minus, will be minus. 8 over 15 times 1 will be 8 over 15. And then the alphabet is x squared. Now just take note, when you deal with stuff like this, when you have a number and an alphabet and it's a fraction, I want you to split the fraction up from the alphabet. So instead of writing 8x squared over 15, I want you to write it as 8 over 15x squared because it's a lot easier to deal with. Now move to the third rainbow. Sign is plus. 8 over 15 times 3 will give you 1 and 3/5. And then the alphabet is x. Okay, now we have to deal with the second term on the left to go into every term on the right. So we deal with this first. Sign is minus, number is 10, and it's x. Okay, then we deal with the second term. Sign is plus, because minus times minus is plus. Then we have number 2 times 1 is 2, x times x squared will be x cubed. And finally, last term, minus times plus, minus 2 times 3, 6, x times x will be x squared. Now that we have all these terms here, you need to combine them together. So I look in this expression, there's an x cubed. There are 2 terms with x squared, so that can be combined. There are 2 terms with x's, so that can be combined too. And then the number alone. Okay. So usually what I do is that I will underline what I want to do with first. And in this kind of sequence, right, when they're all x's, we do with the highest power first. So we look at x power 3, there's only one term, write it in front. And then I would cancel this. Now, there are some school teachers, I know at least 2 schools that don't allow students to do that, maybe because they think it's messy. And that's true. But that also makes it hard for the student to keep track of what has been done and what has not been done. So instead of canceling it, right, may I suggest that you just do a tick in below. So know that, okay, I've dealt with this. Then we move on to the next one, which is the second highest power, which is x squared. So these 2 over here. Okay, so you just key into your calculator, minus 8 over 15 minus 6. Okay, and that will give you minus 6 8 over 15. Then you just write the x squared on the side. So this is also settled. Then we deal with the x's. 1 and 3/5 minus 10. Key that into your calculator. You get minus 8 and 2/5 x. So that's also dealt with. And finally, you have the number. No sign in front means it's plus. Now a little bit more difficult. We have 3 terms on each side. Now, in this kind of scenario, I really don't like to do the rainbow because it gets very messy and I hate mess. It's one of my pet peeves. Okay, at least at work. So what I do here, if there's so many rainbows here, I just underline the first term. Then I deal with this first. So I go into each and every one on the right. So m times minus 2n, we do the sign, minus 1 times 2 is 2, m times n is mn. Okay, so if you want, you can just put it here, just to say that, oh, you're done with this. Then now we do with this. Okay, plus minus is minus, 1 times 7 is 7, m times m is m squared. Then we deal with this. Okay, plus plus will be plus, 1 3 will be 3, mp will be mp. Okay, so now I deal with the second term. Go into the first term. Right, minus minus plus, 6 2 is 12, n will be n squared. And the second term, minus minus will be plus, 6 7 is 42, n will be mn. Now put them in alphabetical order, m first, then n. Because if you don't do that and you have nm, then you may confuse mn later with nm, and you will not combine them. Okay, although they are the same things, mn or nm is the same because In multiplication, the order is not important, right? 2 times 3 and 3 times 2 will still give you 6, right? But you might just confuse yourself later. So always deal with it in alphabetical order. Okay, that will help you, trust me. Then we deal with the third one. So we have minus, plus will be minus. Then we have 6, 3 will be 18. And then n and p will be np. All right, so we're done with the second term on the left. Now we deal with the third term on the left. Now, likewise, we go into the first one. Plus, minus, minus, 5, 2, 10, p, n, and p. And the second one, plus, minus, minus, 5, 7, 35, p and m, and p. And finally, the last one, plus, plus will be plus, 5, 3 will be 15, pp will be p squared. Okay. Now that we've done expanding, that's not all. If you leave your answer like this, it's going to be wrong. What you need to do, you need to combine the like terms. Okay, so we have m, we have n, and we have p. So by alphabetical order, we deal with m first. Now, when we deal with m first, we must deal with the m with the highest power. So this is m squared here. Okay, this is the m with the highest power, so we write it first. That's the only one. Okay, then we deal with n combinations. So we have mn and mp. So n comes before p, so we deal with the mn first. So there's one here, then there's one here. Okay, so you have minus 2 plus 42 will give you plus 40 mn. So that's done. And now we do with mp. One here and one here. Plus 3 minus 35 will be minus 32 mp. Okay, so that's done. Then now the next one will be n. Highest power, 12n squared. That's done. Then combination n's. So we have minus 18 minus 10 here will be minus 28 np. And then finally, the p. Okay. Now, why do I take the time to rearrange it in such a manner? Because I want you to display your answer in the same way as your teacher's answer sheet. Well, that makes your teacher's life a lot easier, and when she compares and they look the same, it's easy to mark whether you have correct answer or not. Now you can jumble up the order. Okay, you can write p, np as pm. It's up to you. Okay, but I would strongly advise against it. Okay, if you want to jump up the order and you insist on being stubborn and you want to put it in the way that you want, so be it. But when a teacher makes a mistake, because teachers are also human, or you confuse yourself, you get zero sympathy from me. Because this is knowledge that I've learned from like 20 odd years of teaching, right? And these are mistakes that I have made. These are mistakes that other students have made. And I'm trying to tell this to you and share this with you so that you don't make the same mistakes. But if you insist on making the same mistake, by all means, it's your grade, not mine. Okay? But if you trust me on this, and you need to trust me on many things that I tell you, because my methodology is refined after many years of learning, experience, teaching, right? This is the best way. Just show the answer in the same way as your teacher's answer sheet. Okay? Okay, so level up. We have 3 terms here. 1 term on the left, 2 terms in the middle, and 2 terms on the right, and their fractions. Okay, don't fret. No problem. In these kind of situations, we don't deal with the single numbers, because the single numbers going in to expand is easy, right? It just goes and expand everything. We don't do that. Right? We deal with the 2 terms and 2 terms first. Right? So we deal with this. Okay? This is the first thing that we do. So whatever's in front, we just copy it down first. No worry, we'll get to that eventually. Now sign here will be plus will be plus. So first term in the bracket, we don't write plus. Then we take the calculator, 6 times 4 and 2/3, we get 28. Okay, and then we have A. Now let's look at the next one. Plus plus will be plus 6, 7, 42. AB will be AB. Then we deal with this. Okay. Now B over 7 will be just be 1 over 7B. Okay. So when you key in your calculator, you take 1 over 7 times 4 and 2/3. Okay, you get 2/3. Then you have one alphabet B. And then finally, the last one. Now you have minus plus will be minus. You have 1 over 7 times 7, that will give you 1. So we don't write. And then B times B will give you B squared. Now before you go on and expand the two in, just check to make sure there are no like terms. So there's A, B, B, and B squared. So they're unlike terms. Then now you do the same for each and every one of them. You expand this, get 56A. So you have this 84AB. Okay, and then you have this will be minus 1 and 1/3. And finally, you have minus 2B squared. Right? So that's your final answer.